You can really see how obvious a man's love and hate are. Charles never treated Diana with the courtesy of a gentleman. Charles stepped off the plane with long strides, leaving Diana behind. But when he was with Camilla, he patiently waited, concerned that she might stumble. On the day of Diana's funeral, Queen Elizabeth bowed in guilt, but Charles walked away impatiently, leaving the scene without a second thought. However, Charles reserved all his patience and affection for Camilla. When they got off the plane, he would wait for Camilla to exit the door, and he would check to make sure she could descend the stairs on her own. Halfway down, he would stop and turn back, telling Camilla not to rush. These tender moments occurred almost every time they traveled together. During their visit to France, Charles kept looking back every few steps, afraid that his beloved wife might have an accident. Reaching the bottom of the stairs, he even ignored the French president, waiting for Camilla to slowly make her way down. When Camilla couldn't cut her cake, Charles would do it for her, gently assisting. On a daily basis, he would help Camilla adjust her blanket and put on her mask. Even though his body had aged, his gestures always showed his preference for Camilla. A photo of Diana almost drove Charles mad. After Charles's affair was exposed, his reputation plummeted, making him one of the most hated people in Britain. To mitigate the damage, Queen Elizabeth arranged for Charles and Diana to visit India together. It was around Valentine's Day, and a loving photo of the Prince and Princess of Wales could have quelled many rumors. However, Charles did not cooperate and even missed the Valentine's Day event at the Taj Mahal with Diana. Diana had to complete the visit alone, and the loneliness and sadness in her eyes evoked people's sympathy. A journalist captured this heartbreaking moment, and the photo, later known as the Lonely Princess, dealt a heavy blow to Charles. Once published, the entire nation condemned the prince as a cold-hearted person, causing Charles's already precarious reputation to plummet further. This also deepened his resentment towards Diana and hastened their divorce. Years later, Prince William visited the Taj Mahal with Kate. Standing in the same spot his mother once stood, William was filled with emotion, carefully concealing his feelings as tears welled up in his eyes multiple times. He might have thought about how lonely Diana must have felt facing the journalists alone back then. Fortunately, he and Kate are very much in love now, and Diana would surely be comforted by their happy marriage. When the wind hits Camilla, she instantly turns into a crab. When the wind hits Diana, she looks like a fairy. When Diana runs against the wind, she is the bravest mother. When she greets the public in the wind, she is the kindest princess. This is why on the day of her funeral, 1 million people gathered in the streets of London to bid her farewell. She once braved strong winds to visit Qatar and comfort the British Royal Navy, and as a result, her popularity far exceeded Charles's. Thus, she was isolated by Charles in the cold wind. But despite this, the love and admiration of the public for her only grew. In contrast, Camilla is always left looking disheveled by the wind. During Princess Charlotte's christening, a gust of wind suddenly attacked her. She held on to her hat but couldn't manage her skirt, almost exposing herself. She participated in a hiking event, and her white hair was blown into a messy ball. She even once tried to mimic Diana by wearing a headscarf. However, it was as if the wind had hands trying to rip the scarf off her head. Actually, strong winds are common in the UK, and Camilla knows this well, but never bothers to secure her hat or dress. This also led to her almost flashing when she visited France with Charles. Meanwhile, Diana always wore dresses with safety measures on important occasions. Diana bent down to pick up the cane for the elderly person, while Camilla held an umbrella for herself, leaving the public in the rain. A selfish fox can never earn people's love. Diana once visited a cancer hospital in Pakistan, where she gently touched the deformed knee of a sick child. She once shook hands with AIDS patients without gloves. She even bravely crossed a minefield to call for an international ban on landmines. 22 years later, Prince Harry also followed Diana across a minefield. Diana's short life was dedicated to selfless service. In contrast, Camilla enjoys the privileges of a stolen title. The driver opens the car door for her, and she never says thank you. You should know that Diana mostly opened the car door for herself when getting in and out. Moreover, at any event, Camilla only cares about herself. When planting saplings, she needed someone to hold an umbrella for her, and she only filled the soil 3 times and then stopped. When feeding reindeer outdoors with kids, she also only held an umbrella for herself. Even when seeing a little girl with a breathing machine in front of her, she still only thought of herself. Who do you think is truly charitable, Diana or Camilla? The Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, helped Kate avoid an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction, but the look she gave Camilla was incredibly sharp. A swan will never be friends with a vulture. Although Sophie is the daughter-in-law of Elizabeth II, She and Kate are more like allies, both admiring Diana, which has led them to share a common enemy. Recently, Sophie also attended the state banquet welcoming the King of Qatar, and people found her crown very familiar. It was the lotus tiara, which Kate had worn at various international events. Notably, Kate was absent from this banquet. However, Sophie's choice to wear the tiara indirectly represented Kate, once again overshadowing Camilla, who was adorned with diamonds worth $1 billion. Sophie does not hide her animosity toward Camilla. At the funeral of Elizabeth II, she shot a furious glare at Camilla. At that time, Charlotte and George were playfully messing around and accidentally bumped into Camilla. Camilla scolded them sharply. Due to her rank, Kate didn't intervene, but Sophie was angry. She stood close to the children, ready to protect them from Camilla's reprimand. Moreover, on Remembrance Sunday, Camilla was absent due to illness, and Sophie was thrilled to see Kate take Camilla's place. Sophie is also very kind to William, often patting him on the back like an elder. It's clear that Sophie is the protective shield Diana left for William's family.
Camilla tried to appear younger to attract Charles, but she was ridiculed because she looked old enough to be Diana's mother. In her 20s, Diana was young and beautiful, and sometimes Charles couldn't take his eyes off her. At that time, Diana liked to wear red polka dot dresses. This highlighted her elegant temperament, and when she paired it with a red coat, she appeared playful and lively. Therefore, 42-year-old Camilla began to imitate her style. It is worth mentioning that Camilla was having an affair with Charles at the time, and in order to compete for his attention, she even wore a bunch of gold jewelry and tried to smile elegantly. However, she looked like she had accidentally put on her daughter's clothes. It is well known that Diana's fashion sense was always praised. So after Diana's death, Camilla began to blatantly copy her style. Camilla tried wearing headscarves like Diana, but ended up looking like a retired old lady. She imitated Diana's black strapless gown, but only revealed her sagging skin and hunched posture. Diana once wore a blue-purple evening gown and looked like a princess. Camilla also tried to imitate that, but her protruding shoulders scared many people. The most outrageous part was that Camilla even imitated Diana's professional attire. She wore jeans, a white shirt, and a blue jacket, as if she had stolen the outfit straight from Diana's wardrobe. Anyway, Camilla couldn't pull off Diana's style, and her elegance was miles apart. People will never warm up to this witch. When Diana handed Charles jewelry, he just gritted his teeth, but when Camilla gave Charles flowers, he couldn't wait to lean in and smell them. You can really see how obvious a person's love and hate are. Do you know how Charles tormented someone he didn't love? At events with Diana, he clearly saw her standing in front of him, but intentionally bumped into her. Then he didn't even apologize. Instead, he laughed and chatted with others. Once, when Diana passed him something, he took it and seemed to whisper to her, but in reality, he was gripping her clothing tightly, his face full of annoyance. In contrast, he was both proactive and affectionate towards Camilla. He would gently hold her arm, smiling as he whispered to her. To demonstrate his love for Camilla, Charles often ignored Diana in public. During their 1992 trip to Korea, they didn't exchange a single glance. That same year, Diana hoped to reconcile by visiting the Taj Mahal with him. The Taj Mahal is a symbol of love, but Charles coldly rejected her. Diana never received Charles's love, but we will always cherish her. If you support Diana, please comment "Love Diana" to show that this elegant woman lives on in our hearts. Princess Anne pays great attention to privacy when crossing her legs, but Camilla almost flashed everyone when she crossed hers, which didn't sit well with Charles. Look, when Camilla walked up the steps, her strides were huge. Honestly, no royal has ever walked that boldly in a short skirt. While waiting to receive flowers, Princess Anne was as poised as ever, but Camilla appeared a bit uneasy. When Princess Anne noticed the two little girls with flowers standing in the wrong spots, she gently helped them switch places. After that, the girl giving flowers to Princess Anne curtsied, but the girl giving flowers to Camilla did not. In fact, when Camilla spoke to her, she even took a nervous step back. It's worth noting that before sitting down, both Charles and Princess Anne checked their chairs first, but Camilla sat down directly, and her scarf and handbag were casually placed on the ground. When crossing her legs, Camilla pointed her toes upward, exposing her thighs. Charles noticed and softly reminded her to adjust. In contrast, when Princess Anne crossed her legs, she used her skirt to cover the area above her knees. Her fair complexion, paired with her red outfit, made her appear even more regal. In conclusion, Princess Anne and Camilla are worlds apart. Camilla acts freely, unfettered by royal etiquette. When Princess Anne clinked glasses with the King of Qatar, her glass was slightly lower. However, when Camilla clinked glasses with the wife of the King of Qatar, she deliberately raised her glass an inch higher. This occurred during a state banquet hosted by Charles for Qatar's Emir Tamim. During the toast, Charles always held his glass slightly lower than Tamim's, as a sign of respect for the guest. However, Camilla didn't care about Tamim's wife at all. She even pretended she couldn't move her chair, making Tamim's wife serve her. More surprisingly, after the toast, Camilla even sat down before the King of Qatar. In contrast, Princess Anne adjusted her dress and sat down simultaneously with the King of Qatar. Additionally, when Charles gave his speech, Princess Anne listened quietly. In comparison, Camilla either flaunted her diamond ring or fiddled with her necklace. She was also wearing the royal Kokoshnik tiara, worth $200 million, eager to show off. But even if a vulture's head is encrusted with diamonds, it can't hide its vulgar nature. On the other hand, Princess Anne, with her classic aquamarine pine cone headpiece, displayed understated elegance and true royal demeanor. Do you know who Queen Elizabeth hated the most? During her 69-year reign, the Queen saw 14 prime ministers come and go. However, one of the most complicated relationships was with Margaret Thatcher, the first female prime minister of the United Kingdom. Thatcher was known for her strong personality and traditional values, and she often showed respect for the monarchy, but only on the surface. The tone was set during their first meeting in 1979. The newly elected 54-year-old Prime Minister Thatcher gave the Queen a very exaggerated curtsy. It looked like a respectful gesture, but it was clearly exaggerated. Margaret Thatcher, who had risen from humble beginnings with determination, did not see the Queen as an authority figure, but rather as the product of inherited privilege. This frosty relationship lasted for 11 years, and both sides reserved their opinions of the other. Nevertheless, Queen Elizabeth fulfilled her duty and paid tribute to Margaret Thatcher's achievements. Moreover, the Queen respectfully attended Margaret Thatcher's funeral and let bygones be bygones.
No one realized that Princess Diana made 3 difficult sacrifices to marry into the royal family. Despite having perfect legs, Diana rarely wore high heels for a long time because her height was similar to Charles's. When she wore heels, she appeared taller than her husband, which severely damaged Charles's self-esteem. As a result, she rarely wore high heels and even prepared a pair of low-heeled shoes for her wedding day. She hoped to please Charles in this way, but he never cared about it and only harbored resentment toward Diana. Additionally, to adhere to royal tradition, Diana couldn't keep long hair. In 1984, she briefly had long hair, but the royal family seemed to have a special preference for short hair. At that time, Charles exploded in anger, accusing her of trying to attract public attention. The Queen also did not support Diana and directly arranged for a hairstylist to come and cut her hair, which deeply hurt Diana. The final major sacrifice was that she completely lost her privacy and freedom. Since becoming a royal member, Diana was almost constantly in the spotlight. What is even more heartbreaking is that in the end, she lost her life trying to escape the paparazzi. Did you know that Princess Charlotte is not allowed to have 5 specific things? Despite being one of the richest kids in the world, there are some things she simply can't buy. First, Charlotte is not allowed to have the Monopoly board game. Years ago, Queen Elizabeth thought the game was too aggressive, so it was banned within the royal household. Charlotte probably still can't break that rule today, but it's not a big deal since she likely has access to way more fun games now. Second, Charlotte is not allowed to buy anything made of real fur. This royal rule has been around for at least 700 years, and of course, it supports sustainability. The late Queen only wore faux fur, and Charlotte is clearly expected to follow suit. Third, Princess Charlotte can't wear brightly colored nail polish. The late Queen believed that only nude or pale pink polish was appropriate for ladies. However, Kate Middleton has broken that rule before, so Charlotte might have more options in the future. Fourth, Charlotte is not allowed to wear a tiara until she's married. For most royals, their first time wearing a jeweled crown is on their wedding day. When that time comes, Charlotte is expected to inherit Diana's famous Spencer tiara. Fifth, Charlotte doesn't get her Christmas gifts on Christmas Day. Instead, royal family members exchange gifts during afternoon tea on Christmas Eve. It's a rather odd tradition, but it's a tradition that has stood the test of time and is not likely to change anytime soon. Neither Prince William nor Kate Middleton, nor even King Charles and Queen Elizabeth predicted that Meghan Markle wouldn't stay long in the royal family. The only person who knew from the start that Meghan wouldn't last long was Princess Anne. Respected royal commentator Neil Sean revealed that when when Meghan became part of the royal family, she soon sought advice from Princess Anne. Meghan left the meeting surprised because Anne told her that being royal was hard work and not a way to become famous. Anne never tolerated nonsense. She told Meghan that she should be punctual and fulfill her duties, and that she should be genuinely involved in any charity work she participated in. However, Neil Sean mentioned that Meghan didn't really follow this advice. When she was the patron of the National Theatre, she didn't get involved as she should have. That's when Princess Anne realized Meghan wouldn't last long in the British monarchy. Meghan probably had an idea of royalty as floating around castles, always in designer clothes doing nothing. And when Princess Anne said otherwise, she probably didn't like it. This made me respect Princess Anne even more. She is a very shrewd and perceptive lady, and obviously an excellent judge of character who saw through Meghan and was proven right in her assessment.